You're alright, fuckers and fuckettes. Now, I've been doing a lot of in-depth study on this Common Core curriculum here lately. And I've also been doing a pretty substantial amount of study into different federal government programs throughout the years that have interfered with our educational system here in America. And it's disappointing that our educational system has become what it has become. And it's fixing to get worse, because if this Common Core keeps going through, well, the kids aren't even going to have to learn. Number one, they can pass not by giving the right answer, but by telling how they came up with the wrong answer. And I've bitched in the past in another video about that one kid that graduated Votech, had a Votech certificate, said he was a mechanic, and had never had a torque wrench in his hand. That's how crappy our educational system has become. Historically, education-wise, we were almost on top of the world when the federal government doled out a few federal funds and left the states to run the educational system. Their own independent, you know what I mean. But let me give you a review of some of the things that they've come up with in the past several years. They've come up with, let's see, it was profile of learning. Now that's where if your daddy was a mechanic, you was going to be trained to be a mechanic. If your daddy was a shoe salesman, you was going to be trained to be a shoe salesman. Well, let me tell you something about that. Einstein's daddy wasn't no nuclear physicist. Get the idea? And then we had No Child Left Behind. You know, and instead of putting these kids into summer school and making them learn, or, you know, cutting away the teacher's tenure and making them do their job, we basically ended out with a bunch of kids passing that should not have passed. Which is completely wrong. This current thing, this core curriculum, yeah, if that continues the way it is written and the way that they are planning on teaching our kids and have already started, well, you might as well start printing their diplomas on this right here, because that's all they're going to be good for. They're not going to be worth a damn thing except ass whack. You know, and if the federal government wishes to interfere in the educational system, work on ways to improve it. Don't kiss the teachers' unions' asses. Don't kiss some minority groups' asses. Work on ways to get the kids to learn so that they all have a chance to be successful in this world. Because quite frankly, I'm alarmed at what I have read about this core curriculum. And, you know, we've had all these, the past few years we've basically been teaching kids to take tests instead of teaching them what they needed to know, to where if the test was put in front of them, they'd pass it anyway. I think that's really wrong. We've dropped from one of the top countries in the world to search for heads to down around number 48 or 50, depending on who you read. I think that's a crying shame. And most of it's because of this poorly written tripe that's pretty much tailor-made to kiss the teachers' unions' asses. And quite frankly, most of it seems tailor-made to, I don't know, but it is not tailor-made to encourage our kids to learn. It is definitely there seems to be a path there to teach kids rote things without actually giving them any knowledge. And instead of teaching them to think and solve problems, they're basically, it seems like they're going to be and are being taught very little, and most of it just selective. Yeah, okay, this is all they need to know, which is basically going to make the average high school diploma in the United States of America worth less than a piece of asswipe. Hey, you. Hit that button. We'll holler at y'all fuckers and fuckheads later.